Welcome in to Trust the Process Live. We're here. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not the guy to get lost for words. That's kind of my thing. I always have words that kind of just flow out of my mouth. I don't really put any thought behind them, but
Not today.
not today. It's crazy though. I think I might be in a little bit of a different spot than Josh. I won't speak for our guest. This is our man right here, Jeremy Rice from PHL Sports Nation. They've been very, very kind to send us a great couple guests. So this is another installation of our guest line presented by PHL Sports Nation. I'm not going to speak for Jeremy. I think I'm at a different stage in the grief process, and I think we're gonna find out where everybody's at. I know JJ removed. He's obviously not experiencing grief. Yeah. As always, I'm your host, James Hyden, here with my guys, Doc Locke, Josh Safran. How are you, friend?
Man, I'm done. Just got done with a 6-hour drive from Pittsburgh. Come home and it's time to talk about Ben Simmons. I mean, I'm at a loss of words too. I mean, usually I got a whole big thing to say. I bring the energy. No, none of that today. I'm going to pass it down the line and come back to you and we're talking about this team. Oh.
All right. Hey, YG young gentleman, bring me up. Give me some energy.
Here's the thing: is I've been in a better mood than the entire city of Philadelphia has been. I empathized with y'all, but I just want to know, because normally this is a debate show, and Jeremy, welcome to the show, man. Great to have you. This is normally a debate show, but is the vibe changing today? I just want to know from the door, is this a debate show or a venting session? Because it can be that. Because I've empathized a lot with what's going on in the past day. So just let me know.
I think we're gonna argue. I think we're gonna argue about the ways that we're venting and the solutions to venting.
Okay.
Okay.
But
those are our guys. We're regulars here, but we got a very special guest. Jeremy Rice made time for us. He made it all the way back home. So Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us, man. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. A little sad, a little mad, but for me, life goes on. But it's just disappointing is the word that comes to mind for me.
That's healthy. That's healthy. Life goes on is healthy, man. Got to get up off your feet.
Yeah, disappointing is definitely one of the words that comes to mind. With that being said, boys, we're going to jump right into it.
Let's do it.
And our main event, obviously, is focusing on the absolute debacle of a series. And I'm not even going to just focus on Game 7, just a series with the 76ers. The questions later on, as you can see, I'm still kind of fighting the
hey, not coming take your time, man. Take your time. We're here for you.
We'll get to the questions later on. They'll kind of point to the specific reasons, but I kind of want to get a general reason where you all thought it would go wrong. All right. So JJ, I'm gonna start with you.
Okay.
Where'd it go wrong?
This might be a little bit of a retrospective take and a retrospective look, and I apologize for that. But I think if we look back, it all went wrong in Game 1. When you let Trae Young and the Hawks come into the Wells Fargo Center, unfearful, untimid, with a cockiness about them, and not only win, but punch you in the mouth and make a statement in Game 1, and you can win the next 2 games and get home court back and all of that. But you never recover from letting a team who should have never been in this series have the confidence and give them the ability to have them think that they can win this. That, we can do this. We may be inferior, but we've been fighting and clawing our way through the playoffs this whole time, and the Sixers are the next giant we're about to take down. And that attitude should have been deaded from the door, and you guys never, ever did that. Not in Game 1, not until Game 2 and Game 3, but the fighting spirit was already instilled in them after they won Game 1. If we look back on it, that's where it all went wrong, because they were able to battle after that. That's what gave them the will to battle, the will to fight through this series and get themselves back in it. A team who has no belief even if they do win Game 1, a team who doesn't actually believe they're going to win the series doesn't claw back and still get it. But that was already instilled with them when they came and won Game 1 in the Wells Fargo Center. I really think, looking all the way back, that Game 1 is where it all went wrong. If you come in and quiet that noise, this momentum run they have from beating the Knicks, this might be over in 4, at the best 5. But that win in game one knocked y'all back a little bit, and it gave them a fighting spirit. And I think that's when they leveled the playing field a little bit.
Interesting. Josh, where did it all go wrong, man? What was the key?
I mean, JJ, I think you're definitely right. I think that's where it started to go wrong in game one. But teams drop game ones all the time. You know what I mean? I mean, LeBron.
The way they did it. You're right. You're right.
29-20 or something in game ones in his whole career, and that's
right.
That's the king we're talking about. Where it went wrong was every game after that, aside from game two. I feel like, and I agree that it was game one, but it's just the Hawks are clearly a much better team than we gave them credit for. And I think they're clearly a much better team than the Sixers and specifically Doc Rivers gave them credit for. There was just a constant tone from Doc specifically in the press conferences of get off my back. I mean, we talked about this, I think, after game one when he was talking about Ben Simmons and with the you don't know ball comment, it was I got this, get off my back. And, we do this all the time where it's like, look, we weren't in the locker room, but the feel from the team, the feel from the city was, oh, the Hawks are scaring us, but we got this. I mean, gentlemen, I'm going to have to go to Rite Aid tomorrow and get White out and be a man of my word. I penned them in. I penned the Sixers into the Eastern Conference Finals. And I think they may have been doing some of that the same thing. And you know what? The Hawks are a good team. So I think where everything went wrong was we didn't see the signs. We didn't see the writing on the wall was that this Hawks team is for real. And we always just thought there was more time than there were, Where everything went wrong, JJ, you might be right with the game one because I'm saying to myself the whole time, don't worry. Game seven's in Philly. They can't beat us in Philly. And you know what? Game one was the perfect example of you're not untouchable in Philly as much as they think they are. Truth be told, I think it went wrong a long time ago, and I might be falling under this camp that this team this year really wasn't as good as we may have thought they were going to be. But I don't want to just drop that bomb. I kind of want to elaborate on that a bit later. So that's where I think it went wrong, fellas. It's a lot to unpack.
And Josh, here's the thing. I think it's among the same vein. Like, it just shouldn't have gotten to this point, and you shouldn't have even allowed them to win game one. One, you don't have LeBron James on your team. So, yes, LeBron dropped game one, but LeBron himself does what Doc Rivers refuses to do, and that's make in-series adjustments, in-game adjustments. So that's the best player maybe of all time. So LeBron can do a lot of things that people can't do. Not everyone can drop a game one in a series and recover from it, even if game seven's at home. Even if, the Hawks are a little bit better than we thought. I think that all goes in the same vein of you let them come in and get a swagger about them and get a confidence. And a team who's better than advertised, once you give them that confidence and that swagger, now you're about to feel the wrath. Like, now it's a series. And you could have done all that from the door. You could have made all that quiet from the door, and I don't think this would have happened. You wouldn't have had Trae Young doing this on the 76ers logo. Like, that's come on, man. You needed to shut the noise from the door. Make them know that you could do that in New York. You could do that anywhere else, but you can't do it here. And you never made them feel that. What
I'm going to say, and I'm going to elaborate on your point about the allowing them to get a swagger after I let Mr. Rice go. What I will say to your point is I think the key to where this series went wrong is a little bit different than where the season went wrong. I think there are many things that went wrong, and I think they're mutually exclusive in the fact that there's a bunch of shit that went wrong, fellas. Yeah. But before I get on my soapbox, Mr. Jeremy Rice, what's the key to this series? Where did everything go wrong, and why did this season end?
Talk to me.
Well, I think it's a few things. I think everyone was a little right there. Game one, and then just in general. But for me, it was Doc Rivers' rotations. First of all, how are you not just game seven, but the whole series, how are you going to go 10 or 11 deep? And in the playoffs, when it's super, super important to get that tight rotation down, to have your star players playing all the minutes, and it just right there really hurt the Sixers. And I think another thing that got overlooked, people will look back on it now and be like, oh, yeah, that was a big one, was when Danny Green got injured. Yes. I think it was way much more of a glue than people really thought. Yes. And not only did he space the floor out, but his defense was super valuable. And it's just, a combination of those things along with Ben Simmons not scoring or being afraid to go to the hoop, all those things combined, it snowballed, and then all of a sudden your superstar is injured. He's still putting up performances of a lifetime injured, but at the end of the day, I'm putting this one on Doc. His rotations, his constant choking and clutch moments. It's just it all went wrong in all the right places.
All the wrong.
Could not agree more. JJ, you brought up a good point. The swagger that the Atlanta Hawks have. And I think everybody's forgetting that, and Josh, you said this as well, the Atlanta Hawks are a way better team than everybody around who knows the NBA gave them credit for. They're the best team in the league after they hired Nate McMillan, or they gave him the interim tag. And we're forgetting they could be better. They're missing DeAndre Hunter.
And Cam Reddish. And Cam Reddish.
We're forgetting this team could be better. So, quick tangent. The Hawks could be scary for a number of years now. Let's not, and I think John Collins just gave them a pretty good reason or is continuing to give them a reason as to why he should be re-upped. Now, with his shirt with Duncan on Embiid,
corny.
I think that's a different story, and I think he.
I know that hurts y'all. I know that hurts y'all.
He's going to get got for that one. He's going to get. If we're taking this to baseball, he's going to get thrown at. But to me, it all went wrong at Game 5 because this team, and we said this. You can check tape on this show. We said this. The Hawks did scare us. We weren't looking forward to the matchup between the Hawks or the Knicks. The Knicks, because it would have been a grinded out, physical, punch each other in the face until one is literally knocked out match. And the Hawks are just a bad matchup. We were all begging for a Boston Celtics matchup, but we kind of saw it coming. So everybody and their mother knew this wasn't going to be a sweep. If you were thinking it's going to be a sweep, I question if you really watch Sixers basketball. But once you let them come in and get a second win on your court, that's where the series was
really
lost.
Good point. Yeah,
that's where the series was lost. It'd be because that's fine. If you want to go down to Atlanta, I'm not going to say it's fine, but like it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that you go down to Atlanta and somehow blow a lead with so many mixtures of combinations. But to blow a 20-something point lead in Game 5 at home,
yeah,
that series was over.
And one thing you said, Ben, is that I really want to make this feel worse for me. I'm a sucker for pain, and so I want to point this out. I heard Hugh Douglas, former Eagle, doing a radio in Atlanta. I think it was the Giglio show. He came on and talked about who was it, Reddish or DeAndre Hunter? DeAndre Hunter. For what he was saying, that being an Atlanta radio guy, the inside scoop he got was Hunter was like 50-50 going into the playoffs. And they made the ultimate decision to say, you know what, this might not be this year. Let's see what we can do without him. Let's have him be healthy, and we want to go for the future. So
and now you get him back, and it's plug and play when you get him back.
So I mean, to me as a Sixers fan, it makes it all that worse, and I'm a sucker for it. Like I want that pain because this is embarrassing, and it should be. It should be this far.
So we talked about where the things went wrong, and we talked about the amalgamation and what the final elixir of all the things that went wrong went. Now we're going to kind of dissect. We're going to go back and we're going to take a look at all the ingredients. The main ingredient, fellas, is your former number 1 overall pick, the 24-year-old Australian.
Love talking about this guy.
Can't get enough.
Ben Simmons now and forever will be a part of conversation about should he be here, should he not be here. So we're going to go around and talk about what Ben Simmons' fate really is, or what it should be, or what you want it to be. Give me something on Ben Simmons' fate. And Jeremy, I'm going to come to you with this. I'm coming right to you with this one, man. I want to know what you're thinking.
I love it. Well, as a I still support Carson Wentz. I was a big defender of Carson Wentz in the Eagles, and this feels the exact same way. It's the same. All of a sudden, there's a little bit of doubt behind the scenes. The fans start getting a little restless, and then he doesn't perform. And that's all you needed. He didn't perform, and not only once or twice, but almost the whole playoffs. He had 1 or 2 good games that were good for his standards, but for any other NBA player is lousy. I think it's almost impossible to have him back on the team. I know Doc is a big believer in Ben. I know Daryl Morey probably thinks it could work, but after that performance last night, how are you under the basket right there and you don't shoot? I know it's confidence. I know it's all mental.
Up here, man. It's all up here. That's
He's
all they're
choking.
getting.
That's what it is. He's
He
choking.
said, oh, shaky baby. Oh,
It's past shaky baby, man.
It is. It is.
If there is such thing.
Yeah.
Is that what?
I mean, it's you go on about it. It's the same situation, like I said, Carson Wentz. I feel like you have to move on, and maybe it's best for both sides. But even now, what's the trade value for him?
Exactly.
Where is it at? You might have a coach here or there that believes he can get back to first overall talent.
They're crazy.
The guy who you want,
Crazy.
but yeah, exactly. They're gonna be looked at by their GM or someone and be like, "What are you on right now? This is not the same guy."
Jeremy, I personally think that to market Ben Simmons, you can't market him as, oh, this is someone who still has the potential to be what we thought he is. No, that's over. You have to go and find teams where Ben Simmons at his best fits on their squad and sell it to that coach. Yeah. That's who you got to sell it to. Like, he's still maybe the best overall defender in the league. He still creates the most 3-point shots maybe of anyone in the NBA. So if you need a guard who you don't need him to score, but literally do everything else, man, we got a guy for you. Just don't look at him to score.
There's a couple teams that could use that, but we'll get there. Josh, the fate of Ben Simmons. What do you see happening? What would you like to happen? What's more likely to happen? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, what I would like to see happen is Ben Simmons had a normal linear improvement of his play from his rookie year until now. If you haven't seen the video of his summer league highlights come out, go ahead and watch them. Just if you somehow haven't seen them on Twitter.
Why would you do that to yourself?
That's what I say. You're going to hurt yourself. It's really going to upset yourself.
I am a Sixers masochist, fellas. There's nothing else to say. I'm cutting myself and squeezing lemon in it with these highlights, boys.
Let me be a regular masochist.
Let me do a quick recap, because this is I can't stop thinking about this. People get on Philly fans, and deservedly so. I look back at Fultz, I look back at Wentz, I'm looking right now at Simmons, and you got to say, what's the common denominator here? It's Philadelphia, and it's the chatter, the sports talk. But here's the thing about Ben Simmons, and here's the thing about Fultz, and here's the thing about Wentz. They were given everything, from rookie year. Every single person was in all their corners. More Simmons than I think either of those guys. Maybe, it might be close.
This city was very pro Wentz.
It's close.
All three of them, the city was very pro, all three of them.
But I want to just take it all the way back. Simmons versus Ingram, a bit of a conversation, and quickly everyone jumped on Simmons. Quickly everyone was on Twitter making fun of the Lakers and Ingram. Next year, Simmons versus Donovan Mitchell. That's the next thing. Donovan Mitchell still gets booed at the Wells Fargo Center for the whole not a rookie thing. Everyone supports Ben Simmons. Oh, it's okay. The jump shot will come. There were still whispers and still people getting angry at a point guard not shooting a jump shot, which is very understandable. But it's okay. You do a lot of other things right. What is it? Year 4 now? Year 3 comes along. People start accepting that he will never shoot a jump shot, which is crazy, which is it's literally insane. I am one of those people. I am one of those people who said, yeah, this guy's never going to shoot a jump shot. He's still incredible. We have Embiid. And now, what's funny? I would be happy to get a Michael Bridges, for Ben Simmons, which is even funnier because Michael Bridges is the guy we traded for Zaire Smith. This Ben Simmons thing to me.
You might need to give something up to get Mikal.
Has gone full circle in the most painful way, and he's gone, and we're gonna get nothing for him. I just don't see. Do you guys see a circumstance where this guy's on the team next year?
I'll take it from there.
And Banners, I'll toss this over to you. I just you have what Embiid said, saying the turning point was Ben not dunking. You've Doc saying, I don't know, to if he can lead a championship. I can't see where this guy's on the team anymore, and I also can't see where you get anything near what he's worth for him. That's what I'd say about Ben today. Banners, go ahead.
What you just said, lastly, right there is the exact reason why everybody in this city or worldwide who calls themselves a Sixers fan needs to resign themselves and know that he is your starting point guard next season.
Don't. Oh, that's tough.
What?
Oh,
Wait. What
I
are
think he's
you gonna
right.
get for
Nothing.
Ben Simmons? What are you
Nothing.
gonna
No,
get
I
for Ben
agree. I
Simmons?
agree. It's just
So
you said painfully what everyone was afraid to say. You're
that's
just
what I'm
making it
here
real
for.
blunt.
I
You're
don't
making it
give a
blunt.
fuck about your feelings.
It
My
hurts.
feelings hurt
It hurts.
too.
It hurts
What?
though. Like
I'm
it's low
upset
key
too.
true. It's low key true.
Let's be painfully honest here.
Go
If
ahead.
Ben Simmons goes out there and somehow develops, let's say, a 12-foot jump shot after he's traded to the Wolves, if he goes to the Wolves and develops a 12-foot jump shot, you can't tell me that there's not a parade down Broad Street firing whoever the GM is at that point. It doesn't matter if Elton's still here. It doesn't matter if Daryl Morey's still here. They want blood. There is no way in there. Like the Sixers know, Daryl Morey knows he can't get rid of this man for anything less than at least fair value. I'm not saying good value. I'm not saying appropriate value for what he is or was worth. You can't give him up for that. So what you need to resign yourself to as a Sixers fan is Ben Simmons is going to be your starting point guard next year, and you're going to have to get ready for a very uncomfortable offseason of
Oh,
D'Lo trade rumors to the Wolves. I'm sorry, but it's just what it is. I know nobody likes
right.
it.
You
I
should
don't like it
gobble up
either.
D'Lo trade rumors.
If
If you get D'Lo for Ben Simmons right now, you pull that trigger.
Ben Simmons is owed $33 million. He just hit all of his incentives. In 2 years, he's going to be making $40 million. There's nothing out there that is going to come close to being able to, one, match money and give you value back. I'm sorry. It's just like we're stuck with him.
We're seeing the ultimate projection and transferring of pain right now. That's what you're doing, Banners. Is you are hurting and you're realizing all the bad, and you're saying if I gotta feel it, y'all gotta feel it too. Because you're saying all the things that are too painful to face right now. Like the fact of the matter is, unless you take the lesser part of a deal, you lose a trade, which Daryl Morey has shown he's just not going to do. He's not going to be on the wrong end of a trade. Unless you do that, you have to keep Ben Simmons because he was the number 1 overall pick. And anything less than that projection, anything less than an all-star player.
So was Fultz, and we shipped him off for a bag of Wilson volleyballs. Not even basketballs. We can't do anything with these.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what's going to happen.
And you got nothing to show for it.
So JJ, go off of what I'm saying. What's the fate? What's going to happen here?
I mean, I kind of think the same thing, but in terms of what I think is best for the team, I almost think addition by subtraction at this point. Like if you're Daryl Morey, I get that you have a reputation to maintain in the league, but you also have a team to take care of, and you might have to take a net loss on a trade to get this man out of here. It might not be, one of your staple trades. It might not go in the record book of what Daryl Morey can do, but it's going to help your franchise because it's clear where Ben Simmons has gone. Hey, listen to the man himself when he says it is what it is. I am who I am. Listen to him because he's telling y'all straight up, you can beg and plead and cry and whine for me to do something that I just am not going to do. So if it is what it is, if he is who he is, let him be all of that in Portland. Let him be all of that in Minnesota. At this point, get something for him because he's just a dead weight on your team, especially with the mentality. There's no fight. There's no dog in there anymore.
I fundamentally disagree because what he is and what he did got you to the second round. Let's not act like if Ben Simmons wasn't on the floor, Trae Young would have been.
Yes, it got you there, but it also got your feet stuck in the mud. Like, cool. Thanks for getting us here. But
Simmons had one of the worst playoff series ever, but let's not act like he was the only player that came up small.
No, not at all. I'm actually glad you brought that up. Not at all.
So Ben Simmons shot 34% from the free throw line, took 4 shots in the fourth quarter, took 6 shots in the fourth quarter of the game before that, and 4 shots in the fourth quarter in the game before that, and they still took a series to 7 with a superstar with a torn meniscus and another hurt starter and another starter disappearing in the second half. So it's like I'm by no means trying to absolve Ben. I'm just trying to get everybody comfortable here with the fact that there's no way he leaves.
Full circle. That's a full circle mentality. I don't think that the other mistakes that we're missing mean that, he has to stay. I think he still has to go. But we can talk about that because I think there's a lot of things we're not talking about because Ben Simmons is the headlines today.
So, what are the problems? And I'm going to start with you because you actually did a great job bringing that up. What do we overlook because of him?
I think we're forgetting the fact that the superstar you talk about in B turned the ball over, back-to-back or 8 times in back-to-back games. We're forgetting that you not only blew a 16-point lead, or 18-point lead, you also blew a 26-point lead. The 26-point lead was at home. Let's not overlook the fact that you have Tobias Harris who cannot give you a full game of scoring. And if Ben is not trying, Tobias is not scoring either. And it gets let off the hook a lot. There's a lot of things going on. The disappearing act of Shake Milton, yet again, when we just started to believe in him a little bit, the disappearing act again of Shake Milton in the bench. There's a lot of things, and then we won't even have to get into the Doc Rivers rabbit hole because that'll send Josh Safford over there on a damn tangent.
I'll blow a gasket
of the lack of in-game adjustments, the stubbornness that he's unwilling to do, that he showed. All of that encompassed are all things that are not on Ben Simmons' shoulders. And yes, he's the worst part of what happened. He's the most obvious worst part of what happened. But he's not the only bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. All of these things happen. And I think the only people in this organization that are absolved from a tongue lashing are Daryl Morey and Seth Curry. When it's time to bring the hammer down, when it's time to bring, who else?
I'm saying Daryl Morey. I'm saying Daryl Morey and Seth Curry deserve a bit of a lashing themselves.
What did Seth Curry do wrong?
Oh, what did Seth Curry do?
What did Seth Curry do wrong?
Listen, Seth Curry was scoring unlike anyone else, but he was the single reason Kevin Huerter had the game he did.
He's not and that's Doc's fault. Get him off of Kevin Huerter.
That's Doc's fault. Yeah, no, okay, yeah, that is Doc's fault. That is Doc's fault. I'll take that back. Seth Curry doesn't deserve a lashing, but I do think you have to point out that Kevin Huerter just
was cooking Seth Curry.
Kevin Huerter, there's no reason Kevin Huerter should be having that kind of game. And the reason he did was because of Seth Curry. I mean, look, I will forget that George Hill was on this team by next week. But George Hill and Shake Milton held Kevin Huerter. Like, Kevin Huerter just lit up the Wells Fargo Center.
George Hill was a minus 15. Get out of here with
that.
Agree.
That is not Seth's fault. That's not Seth's fault. That's like someone cooking. It's like someone cooking.
We can pile on Doc more. I'm all for piling on.
I definitely think it's more Doc because it'd be like if someone was cooking JJ Redick, but then JJ Redick was also giving you 28 to 30 on offense. Are we surprised someone's cooking JJ? No. Is he making up for it on the offensive end? Absolutely. So it's like cool.
Kevin Huerter scoring 30.
Yeah. And if you're Doc, as soon as he gets to double digits, I have a noise stopper in Matisse Thybulle for this reason. It's game 7. Kevin Huerter shouldn't get to double digits, and as soon as he does, Matisse, handle that for me, please, because I'm tired of seeing it. And let Seth go off on offense. That's a Doc thing. That screams stubbornness, and I have a game plan. I'm not divvying from it. Like, that's Doc, man. You got to get Seth Curry off of him.
Jeremy, we know what the problems were here. We know what the surface was. What are we missing down here that Ben Simmons takes our eyes off of?
Well, I mean, Ben is so versatile where, like you said, you can say the pros easily. You can say everything he's good for. But then there's so much, like you said, underneath the surface that you will overlook. His jump shot, like we're talking about, just you could be a Giannis level or even Draymond Green level shooter.
Yeah.
Where as long as you have that threat, like you're going to shoot, 4 or 5 a game, mid-range, 3-pointers. Maybe you make 1 a game. Maybe not even 1 a game, but you're having that threat on the outside.
Perfect.
He's not willing to take that step, and that is hurting the team. It's going to hurt any team he goes to, and I can't see him changing. And, yes, his defense is one of, if not the best in the league. I think he could have easily been Defensive Player of the Year over Gobert, but maybe the NBA voters are taking in him as a player, and that's influencing them in their defensive view of him. And it's fair enough. Maybe it is a defensive award, but when you're like that as an entire player, it kills the fan base. And Daryl Morey knows it in the back of his head that this is just a killer to Embiid's prime.
Yeah.
And you can't
I mean,
recover.
so
You
true.
can't recover if Philadelphia is a top 3 city where you can't recover from social stigma. Here in New York and Boston, once you're written off, you're written off, man. Like I don't care what video services in the off season. I don't care what training program you said. Like we've seen it, and if it's past a fool me once, shame on me, fool me, or
fool me thrice.
fool me 5 times at this point. Like it is what it is. I am who I am. Listen to me.
I have a statement.
Hmm.
Ben Simmons. All right, let's preface. If the 76ers win a championship with Ben Simmons on the roster, he will be looked at no different than Alshon Jeffrey.
No. And I don't know. Alshon Jeffrey
Show your
wasn't
work.
the first
Show your
overall
work.
pick here. That's the
Show my
thing.
work.
Show your work.
Tell me everybody's view in one word. We're going to go around here. Everybody's view on Alshon Jeffrey. JJ.
Like a rat. That's kind of what I view Alshon Jeffrey.
Jeremy.
A false hope.
Yeah.
Josh.
Important part of winning the Super Bowl that is a fake.
You spiteful motherfucker. They will be viewed in the same vein because no matter what the contribution, there was that one thing that they did to the general population of this city that this city cannot, not, and chooses not to get over. Think about it.
I agree. The work is what I agree with. The concept is because I think you're right. Like, I think the first thing any Eagles fan thinks of Alshon Jeffrey is like, man, he's the reason that the whole Carson thing went south. He's the reason that Josina Anderson knew all about. Like,
he's the reason why Doug got fired.
I mean, the first thing I think about is the catch in the Super Bowl. As the Eagles fan, out of the two of you who aren't Eagles fans,
that's true. That's true.
That's why I said no matter what contributions were made.
Right, but the first thing I'll think about with Alshon is that Super Bowl catch, and Banners, you're right about that. You're right about the thing, but that's what I was saying about Fultz and Carson. I mean, it's just this city's so on brand all the time, and it ruins how these guys play on the field to a certain extent.
So you agree that it's part of the fans' fault. They have a responsibility of like unrealistic expectations because I need very blunt.
It is not the fans' fault because I think what they're doing is what they're supposed to be doing. It's the fault of the player for not performing. Like it's plain and simple. Like I
love it. I love it. You set the bar. They got to reach it. Hey, man, I'm okay.
Before we move on, there's some underlying stuff that we're missing because of Ben Simmons. This team is full of non-playmaking guards thinking they are playmaking guards. And I'm not just talking about guards here. I'm talking about Joel Embiid still not knowing how to pass out of a double team. It is beyond mind-blowing that you saw this man. We saw Joel Embiid, a 7'2" center, bring the ball up with a full head of steam ahead of his whole team 3 times in a row. I went back and watched it. 3 times in a row, he grabbed a board and chugged up the court. Let's talk about Furkan Korkmaz thinking he is a guard instead of a shooter and turning the ball over. I don't even want to talk about George Hill and his minus 15. I want to forget that he was ever on this team.
Should be easy.
They won't be very easy.
This team is full of. This team doesn't have a playmaking guard. We thought Shake Milton could be that. We don't have one. We have a bunch of people who think they are one.
And as great as Seth Curry was, don't get the shot making confused with playmaking because he's still going to run something for him. And what I'll also say. 2 things before we move on real quick. What I'll also say is, one, Danilo Gallinari should never, ever poke the ball away on a spin ever. Just Danilo Gallinari can do a lot of good things. I watched him with the Suns with the Thunder last year with Chris Paul.
I can fight that, man.
I respect this player. The hands should never be quicker than your hands. He shouldn't get around you like that to poke it in. That's being tired and lazy with the ball. And to wrap a bow around this whole Ben Simmons thing, the reason why he's out now more than ever is why it's not salvageable is he's lost the support of the people closest to him. When Doc Rivers is asked, can Ben Simmons be a point guard on a title team? And he just refuses to answer it. I don't have the answer for that. There's no political spin. There's no coach's answer. It's just like, I don't know how to word this right. So mama taught me if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And then Joel Embiid said the nice thing. I've never seen someone throw someone under the bus like that. Even when he tried to sugarcoat it, I don't know how to say it, but when you pass open a wide open layup and we only get one free throw out of it and they come down and score on you, by the way, you're the person who let up the bucket on the other end too. That right there is the turning point of the game and why we lost. Next question. When that happens directly after the game and you've lost it, there's no, I got my brother's back. There's no, you're not going to talk about him like that. Embiid again goes to Instagram and says, I played with a torn meniscus. I gave it my all. Don't look at me. That's why it's gone. That's why if you're Daryl Morey, this is the one time I got to take a loss on a trade because it is from the inside out now. This is now a cancer that is in the inside of my locker room. I got to get it out.
Listen, and the turnovers. I just want to talk about the turnovers just a little bit on Embiid's point. If you go back to earlier in the season, the guy's making passes out of the double team, and they're making much crisper passes. Sure, the 8 turnovers is bad, but that's a result of being – or at least feeling like you're your team's only option. Like he really believes I have to score here, or else we have nothing. And you know, you can get upset at him for that. And I'm not throwing this all on Ben. This is on Toby. This is on the whole team building. This is on Doc.
It's on Embiid too.
It's on Embiid too.
I'm putting the smallest amount on Embiid as I can because he wants it, and I don't think you can say that about a lot of the other guys. Is that you
can want it all you want, but there's a right way to do things.
Yeah, to me, the only person who literally does not have blame, he just is guilty by association, is Seth Curry. And Daryl Morey, just because he's not on the floor, he's in the box. But like of the people on the floor touching hardwood, Seth Curry's the only one who could back his stuff up and leave, and we'll see you in the fall. Everybody else got to stay because I got something to say. Literally everybody else.
Tobias Harris to me is on the trade block. Joel Embiid is far too prone to playing hero ball, and I'm quite sick of it. Daryl Morey, you cannot look me in the eye and tell me George Hill was the best thing you could do at the trade deadline or the buyout market. Matisse, my man, you need to go work on your 3-point stroke. George Hill, see ya. Dwight Howard is now. I hate to say it because I like Dwight. I think he was a good option to have for the regular season.
No, he's a rental player. He's a rental player.
Dwight Howard's a rental player and not viable anymore in the NBA with this team as a backup center. Danny Green, I think I would like him back. I'm not too sure. Shake Milton disappeared. Like there is actually, you know what? The only other person that I won't place blame on is Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Tyrese. No,
I can't go there.
Zero blame. No.
Zero blame because his biggest role in like the whole year came in Game 7. He couldn't perform, but that's not on him.
No, I mean he had the free throws he hit in Game 6. At the end of Game 6, like he got like the rookie coming in hitting big free throws, playing big minutes in the fourth quarter, got a lot of respect from me.
Yeah,
but I'm sure if we ran the tapes back, I'm sure there's some things we could point out. Hey, not even nitpicking, but like
I didn't play well.
Yeah, I can't do that for Seth Curry. He's the only person I'm like he might not flawless. Bowen gives me flawless basketball, but he didn't hurt us. There's no time where Seth Curry hurt us.
Yeah, but Tyrese Maxey, he really just brought the whole energy. I mean, like you said, Game 6, even
the
Game
smallest
7,
sliver of the pie. The smallest sliver of the pie.
He brought everything he had every moment.
And the fact that he's a rookie, he might just gotta hear it because he's a rookie. Maybe just because he's a rookie, he just gotta hear it. But he can't leave the room.
So Maxey's actually a very good segue.
Go ahead.
Our next question is about lessons learned. Could this be a teaching moment? And when I say that, I mean we just talked about everything that we learned. Let's talk about the lessons that the players learned. Let's talk about it could be anybody from the players to the management. Hell, if you even have something else you learned by watching the series that we didn't just touch on. So, Jeremy, was this a teaching moment? What lessons were brought up?
Oh, man, there's so many. First, let's start with people on the screen. Matisse. You got to learn to not foul on a three-pointer in the final minute.
That was a tough one.
That's tough because I know you know better.
Second time in the whole series.
I know you know better.
So-called, and that's one like a cardinal sin. You just can't do it. Maxey, well, for sure, he's got a lot of learning to do. Maybe don't charge it out the big guys every single time because you're gonna get rejected a few times. But you love his energy. I read something today that he wanted to be right back in the gym this Friday. And
Yep.
they had to tell him, no, take your time, take your break, because he's going to be a hard worker. And maybe he needs to learn to manage his skill a little better, and he's going to be a great player. I go as far as I would trust Tyrese Maxey as the future point guard of the 76ers, no doubt.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We agree.
Tobias, oh, sheesh. How?
Look,
Yeah, he scored a lot of points last night, but what was he, like 8 for 24 or something? He missed so
unimpactful.
many layups, so many chances. There was one point, Ben had a fast break. He passed it to Tobias. Contested layup, reverse layup. Furkan made it literally 2 plays earlier. If Furkan Korkmaz is making a reverse layup, he's getting paid a lot less money than you are. You got to
do it. You got to do it.
And then Shake, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Ben Simmons in confidence level. He goes, when he's on fire, you're like, oh my goodness, this guy's the next star. And all of a sudden he disappears for months on time, games on end, and it's frustrating. And then lastly, Joel Embiid I'll go with. Man, you are a dominant player, a superstar, but you got to learn when to take your chances.
Thank you.
Yes, love when you dive on the floor, saving a ball into Game 7, but you don't need to be doing that in the regular season. Dunking and landing all acrobatically. It's unnecessary. Yes, we love you. We will always love you. But take care of yourself first. It's what's going to keep the 76ers afloat.
Thank you.
That last part, Jay, was poetic. Take care of yourself. We love you. We will always love you. Take care of yourself, man.
That was beautiful. That was beautifully said.
It's so well worded.
Josh, I saw a little bit of hesitation there when Jeremy was laying out his lesson plan. What's the look for?
Jeremy, I loved the lesson plan. Like you teed me up. You absolutely teed me up because you did like the hard part of looking at the positives and building off this. Because my reaction to this whole thing is lessons. We're looking at lessons. This was the year. I am so over.
You wrote the script.
Not this question.
The question. Y'all need to learn some stuff now. You're gonna learn today.
Moral victories and learning lessons for next year. The last 3 years of playoff losses, those were lessons. Jeremy, you nailed it. With all the guys you said, I couldn't agree more. But when it comes down to your big three, your Ben, Toby, Embiid, the guys who made you a 1 seed, the guys who gave us all championship aspirations, Daryl Morey has been saying championship or bust. I don't care. I don't care about lessons. The one lesson I really care about is Tyrese Maxey, because I legitimately think we have a star point guard, and his last name isn't Simmons. He's a normal size. He does more or less normal things that point guards do. If Ben Simmons – the lesson that we should have got is Ben Simmons should just become LaMarcus Aldridge or Draymond Green and let Maxey run.
He wishes he could be LaMarcus Aldridge.
I freaking wish he could be LaMarcus Aldridge. I am just so done with taking moral victories and moving on. I'm just scared that this was the best chance the Sixers have in Embiid's prime to win the championship. And I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't want to sit here and smile and say, man, learned lessons from this series. Like,
no. Here's the thing. Don't mistake lessons for moral victories. This is lessons inside of a tongue lashing, man. This ain't we're just gonna go and get them lesser. This is a smack you upside the head, and you better have learned this. Like, you better learn from these mistakes. You better not do this again. This is a harsh lesson learned, not an easy lesson learned.
I think I just learned a lesson that is going to come back to bite us in the ass, because what we're all doing with Tyrese Maxey right now is falling in love with a ball dominant guard who is not going to be above average at shooting.
I think he could get much better, and I'm so hesitant saying this because I've said that before. I've said that before, fellas.
Let's a lesson. Let's not make predictions of players on a small sample size anymore. Let's wait. Maxey did well for what he got put into. Let's leave it at that.
And I think he improved his 3-point shooting as the year went on, and he's not afraid to shoot the ball.
Exactly. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for picking me up there. And I don't see any reason why the Sixers can't have a little Capella Young game going on. I mean, the Sixers have been so adverse to running the pick and roll ever since Ben Simmons has been around. I'd like to see Tyrese Maxey. He is so slippery. Get a full season of Maxey, and maybe we can be throwing some lobs up too, because that hurt
Y'all got lobbed.
The Hawks do it all
If-
too.
Y'all
if
got
Max-
lobbed up
yeah.
12 times in Game 7. 12
If
times
Max-
in one
12
game.
times.
Yeah, if Maxey
Oh, I
can
didn't know
develop
that.
even a sliver of Trae Young's pick and roll floater game, he can either pop that floater or lob it up to Capella.
Deadly.
It's
That's pretty
literally
good.
the only thing the Hawks did. Every time you
Pretty
see
much,
them run
yeah.
a set is
Yep.
a high pick and roll, and he's lobbing it. Or
Hey,
picking up.
that's another thing on Embiid, because at some point you can't bite up that far. Like at some point you got to stick on your man.
No, that's
Yeah.
good.
We know this.
I'll blame Embiid for that one.
Yeah, we know
I
that.
have a lesson, but I think it's a little bit too incendiary for right this second. JJ, you got a lesson?
I actually got a couple of lessons. I hope you guys are ready, because this is we're going to school. Pen and paper out right now, because the Sixers definitely need to learn some lessons from this Hawks series, and maybe just in this season in general. But the first one is stop counting chickens before they hatch. And Josh, you kind of alluded to this earlier. You fall into this category. For players who have never been there before, you can't pen them into an Eastern Conference Finals. They haven't done it yet. I don't care who they have to go through. I got to see them do it first before I pen them anywhere. So I was a little upset and a little, trying to get you guys to see that you can't look past the Hawks. You don't have the cachet to look past anybody. So that's the first lesson. The second lesson is for our good old friend Ben Simmons. And I don't have to get into the whole tangent because we just got into it.
Mm-hmm.
But the lesson learned there is some people have limitations. And I've been trying to tell y'all on the show that I don't think Ben Simmons doesn't work on his jump shot. I don't think he doesn't work on his free throws. Like, I think he's in the gym putting in as much work as people are telling him to put into it. I just think that some people have limitations somewhere. Everybody is human someplace. And he just may not be able to do it. It is what he is, or it is what it is. He is who he is. Listen to him. The next lesson is the postseason is a new season. So the stuff you did in the regular season, how the game was played, how teams prepare for you is one thing. It changes in the postseason. So the same stuff you relied upon and the same stuff you're used to seeing is going to change in the playoffs, and you have to be ready to adjust to that. I don't think the Sixers were ready and were unwilling to adjust to it when it happened. Next lesson is you can't ignore red flags forever. When you're seeing bad stuff happen to your team, when you're seeing your team exhibit some things and you think it's just going to get better as time goes on, you got to trust your gut when you see that red flag. Stop telling yourself it's just going to go away, because when you see that your team turn the ball over, when you see your team not win on the road, when you see key players not making the right plays at the right time, those are red flags that don't just disappear when it's crunch time in the playoffs. And the last lesson is take no player for granted. When Sir Danny Green went down, I don't think anyone thought that was a big deal. And then a 1-3 record later when he's out, we're all looking back and going, damn, maybe Danny Green going out actually did hurt us. Like, yeah, that's a starter. That's a champion. That's a person who knows his role and is going to play it well. He may miss some shots here or there, but you can rely on Danny Green to not be a minus 15 when he goes on the floor. You can rely on him to go into key spots and have an extra body that you can rely on. And I don't think anyone took that into consideration when he went down. Only when you lose the series and you go 1-3 after he's gone do you go, man, maybe Danny Green was a big loss. Those 5 lessons, I think, are the 5 lessons that hopefully the Sixers learn in this series.
All right, boys, I got 2.
Class dismissed.
I got 2. First one before I really blow the roof off is just because you're training doesn't mean it is the right training.
Talk to him.
And let me liken this to weightlifting. Just because you lift weights doesn't mean you have correct form.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Simmons, I am very confident in this. There are at least 15 people playing basketball right now at the local rec center that have a better shot than Ben Simmons. And I say that because there is evidence all over the net about how Ben Simmons brings the ball up and develops a chicken wing with poor hand placement and terrible elbow pronation through the shot. It's just it's fundamentals of a basketball shot that he does wrong. And if you're going to tell me that the GM and the people in the front office and even the people on the court don't see that and know what's going on, means that he's focusing on other things, which is fine if those other things need to be fixed. Remember, he's coming back from a pretty serious back injury, so there was a rehab element to this offseason. But just because you're training doesn't mean you're training right. And as a professional, you have to recognize when you develop bad habits and fix them. Timeline for the fixing them is not up for really discussion because that is what it is. It takes on its own form. But you're a professional. Fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And lesson number 2 is Doc Rivers is cooked in the modern NBA.
Hey now. Oh, hey now.
I have to agree. I
I said what I said.
I can't. I got no defense.
I said what I said.
I got
The
no
fact
defense.
to me,
Where was this after game 1?
it's Doc Rivers is no longer a viable head coach in the modern NBA. I'll say that again for everybody who doesn't believe that I said it the first time.
In the back, people in the back, say it to him.
All the way in the back. Doc Rivers is not a viable coach in today's NBA. It is what it is. I'm sorry, but you cannot go 11 people deep. Even if you lose a starter, you cannot go 11 players deep in the NBA playoffs. You cannot, like, you cannot do that. Like,
minutes.
we won't even go. I don't even know how to begin to start breaking down this stagnant offense that feels like I have been screaming at for the better part of a decade. The fact to me that when Joel Embiid has the ball at the elbow, that you see 4 other players planted in quicksand, in cement, in anything you want to stick their feet into, means that there is not an offensive game plan set. You are relying on your big man and telling him to go play hero ball, which is what lost you at least one game of this series. The fact that you kept going back to that tells me that not only do you not understand why that went wrong, you have no viable option to replace that. And 3, how do you not understand defensive rotations as a coach? You already touched on it earlier, JJ. You saw Seth Curry getting burnt by Kevin Huerter for at least 15 minutes before you even thought about offering up a replacement for Seth Curry on that assignment. Doc Rivers is not an NBA head coach anymore. I think history is going to be rather unkind to him. That's not my place to say whether or not it should be, because Doc Rivers is now 6-9 in Game 7s. The not only is he played in the most Game 7s, or not played, he is coached in the most Game 7s in NBA playoff history. He has a very bad record in them in 6-9, and he is now responsible for 4 of the worst displays of basketball in NBA playoff history. It is what it is. I'm sorry, Doc.
A team coached by Doc Rivers has the worst winning percentage in playoff history when leading at some point in the series.
Exactly. And
that's all that is. All it boils down to.
If KG wasn't KG,
Facts.
his legacy would be a lot different already. And Doc Rivers should be fired. Look at the Atlanta Hawks. After I already brought this up, after they brought in Nate McMillan, the best team in the NBA. Look at the Suns. Look at the Suns with Monty. Look at the what do we do?
CP3.
If we really want to, yes, and CP3 obviously, but that's a very clear example of a new coach brings new life and new culture. Look at Chris Finch in Minnesota. There are, I mean, Tyronn Lue in the Clippers. The Clippers.
And that's when you talk about history, Banners, that's where his legacy takes a hit, because the team that you folded with last year, and you blamed it all on the players with mutually parting ways and saying it wasn't me, it was them, and then saying like, hey, your assistant coach was right next to me when this was happening. When he takes that same team who loses their star player to their conference finals, and you choke one in the second round against a much better team, or with a much better team, I should say, that's where history is going to be really unkind to him. People are going to
not only just without Kawhi, they lost other players there too, like Lou Will, Montrezl Harrell. Like you replaced Harrell with Zubac.
Tough.
And we're still and Kawhi Leonard has I'm sorry, Doc Rivers, you need to be fired. Tobias Harris needs to be on the trade block, but Ben Simmons is not going anywhere. That's my thoughts.
I think
boy, we went on a couple of tangents there, boys.
No, this is good. This is good. This is helpful. You guys getting a lot of stuff out. You guys getting a lot of
this was
Jeremy's a lot less tense than when he first logged on. Like Jeremy's breathing now. He's 100%. Got a lot of that. A lot of that was in here. His chest isn't tight. I can see it. That's good.
Has this been cathartic for you?
This has been good.
It's been a relief. It's just nice to
Good
get
enough.
rid of all the negativity.
All right.
Surrounded by the negativity. Feels good.
Well, before we get into halftime, real quick, or before we get into rapid fire, real quick, we're gonna buzz through that to wrap up the show. But halftime, I gotta tell you about PHL Sports Nation. Our guys over there at PHL Sports Nation have been responsible for sending us a bunch of great guests, Mr. Jeremy Rice included. We had Brandon Apter on here a couple weeks ago, and then Mr. Jolliker. Mr. Jolliker, I call him Mr. Jolliker just because I can't not pronounce that name right anymore. Our friends over at PHL Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. You can find them wherever you get your content. They do a great job covering all of Philadelphia sports through blogs, social media, wherever you can find them, phlsportsnation.com, or on all social medias, PHL Sports Nation. Again, thank you again, Mr. Jeremy Rice, for joining us. Our second half, gentlemen, is going to be rapid fire. We're going to do this real quick. Oh, boy. Does the NBA officiating need an adjustment, Josh?
Yeah, it does. And I don't want to go on a tangent about the Sixers game. It's just so whiny to be the ref guy when your team is the number 1 seed and like you should have beat the Hawks. Okay, the refs were bad. The refs were really bad. You should have still beat the Hawks. Okay, I'm not going to be ref guy, but yes, I mean the way that Trae Young, and it's not just Trae Young, it was just really bad this series. The way that Trae Young just seeks contact, and the second he gets bumped, he hits him with this. That's the classic move. The head goes up, and all of a sudden, boom, there's the whistle. It's boring. Like it's not good basketball. It's not entertaining. The constant stopping, getting stars in foul trouble, and free throws is just boring. No one wins. So while this is a question that stems from the Sixers series and the loss, it's an NBA thing where I think the NBA, there needs to be a memo. There needs to be an adjustment that says, hey, we can't just be all over the small guards who jerk their heads up. There needs to be real fouls, and especially in the playoffs. So, yeah, we need to change.
Mr. Jeremy Rice, does the NBA officiating need to be tweaked?
Hey, no doubt. Not only is it boring basketball, it's annoying. Seeing a player as a neutral fan just run into someone, initiate the contact, and then the foul is called on the other player. It's confusing to someone who doesn't watch basketball. They'd be like, what just happened? There's multiple players. It's not just Trae Young, James Harden, even Chris Paul does it a lot. A lot of star players, they initiate the contact and they look for the foul. And yes, Trae Young flops his head back, and that's the only reason why he has that little bit of hair and he didn't shave it. Hair back. The rest
you can see it.
Hair moving.
He looked like a Who in Whoville when he does that.
Oh, man. JJ, NBA officiating, tweak it or not tweak it?
No doubt about it. This may have been the worst year to my memory of NBA officiating, top to bottom. It started bad and it never got any better. I mean, from Jokic getting thrown out at the end of the Suns Nuggets series for some of that stupid stuff, to everything going down the board. And if we don't need any more validation, then there's already going to be adjustments made this summer. They've already made the point of the arms extended when you go to the rim down where James Harden comes up and kind of gets people in the cookie jar. The jumping off the pump fake to initiate the foul on a jump shot is already being looked at.
The leg swinging out.
The leg swinging out. The stopping off a pick and roll to get somebody off your back initiated contact. All that stuff is being under-reviewed, and they're hopefully not going to get the reaction to that next year. So that's the only validation we need for this question, because the official, the league executives have already seen it, made a note of it. Hopefully we don't see it next year, because you're right. It just puts a real damper on the product. No one wants to watch that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything deeper going on here, but just beyond the common and personal fouls, the whole technical and flagrant foul system needs to be
they're grown men.
I hope that is going to be addressed, because it wasn't stated when they said the rules are going to be looked at to address players like Trae Young, like James Harden. But what I saw yesterday was John Collins flying knee Seth Curry in the face, and it didn't even get a common foul. Like and Dwight Howard was reviewed for a flagrant when an elbow came up and caught John Collins in the face. And Dwight Howard, don't get me wrong, one of his jobs was to use his fouls, and that wasn't him using a foul. That was his elbow mistakenly catching John Collins, and he was reviewed while John Collins flying kneed Seth Curry in the face. So yes, the NBA needs to really check its referees. Whew, all right. That one felt good to get off my chest.
That was good. That one need to be said too.
That one felt good to get off my chest. Real quick, what could Ben Simmons return, JJ? Yeah.
I mean, you could, if someone really wanted, if there was a person out, no, I don't. You get your vending machine stocked.
Wow, you full money ball.
You go through a money ball situation. Like right now, you have to go, and I said this, I think before the show off camera, that you have to go and seek a team who, what Ben Simmons can be at his best, a team that has that. I don't know what team off the top of my head could use what Ben Simmons brings to the table, because it's not much offensively, damn near nothing. Because you got to be okay with a guard bringing damn near nothing on offense, and only Rondo gets away with that nowadays. And no other guard gets away with that nowadays.
And Rondo's over here making 30-footers in crunch time.
And Rondo will still give you a big three. Thank you. Rondo still give you a big three. Still pull that thing if he needs to. So, like, I don't know. You get a bunch of angry Philly fans because he's probably going to come back. I really don't know. Like, I would love to sit here and get into a hypothetical trade package, but realistically, right now, when it's still so fresh, I literally don't know of a scenario of a respected GM for a reasonable return. You can get him for whatever pick compensation you want, but for a reasonable return for a player who can play now, well, I don't know.
Mr. Rice, what could Ben return?
I mean, it really depends on the team he's going to. You look at a team like the Thunder, who are racking up all these unwanted situations with a first-round pick. Do you have to, attach a first-round pick to Ben Simmons to get rid of him? Maybe. Maybe you have Tobias Harris. Maybe you get a package deal for someone, or you get maybe a CJ McCollum. There's no way you could get a Damian Lillard or someone so crucial to their team for a player like Ben Simmons without way more included.
Jeremy, I think you're right. Like, CJ McCollum is the first person I think of that you could go get, because his time at the end of Portland wasn't great either. He didn't end the playoffs well. He's on a big contract with them too. You guys could kind of just trade evils. But what does Portland want with Ben Simmons?
Exactly.
Like, they think about him on that team. Like, that's what stops it. Like, they're like, yeah, we want to get rid of CJ too. But then they think, like, what are we going to do with Ben? Well, he plays the same position as Dame Lillard. He needs the ball too. It's like, what are we going to do?
I'll give you two teams, and I'm going to take OKC out of it because they're only dealing in capital at this point. I'll give you the only two scenarios that work because of money: Portland and Minnesota. I brought them up before. D'Angelo Russell gets you close money wise, and then whatever comes after that is something. And I'm getting you ready, Philadelphia. There's going to be a lot of annoying speculation around Ben Simmons to Minnesota. It's just going to happen. And then Portland, because CJ McCollum matches up a little, almost money-wise. And then Portland, they needed more defense and they needed more facilitating. They had two scoring guards who wanted those shots.
Here we go, talking ourselves into it.
Yeah, and maybe they have the shooting to surround Ben. He's a point guard.
I know.
Like, him being a point guard throws all this off, because you can't. They have one of the best point guards in the league.
Weren't you the guy that was telling us he's a power forward? So stick him on the block.
I think he's a point forward. I think he should play the four-on. Yeah, but they don't listen to me. If they listen to me up there, I'd be up there making this trade. If they listen to me,
Portland, you stick him on the block, let him be that facilitator down low.
I agree, but that's
a pretty good team.
It is what it is. He is who he is. That's not who he says he is.
Josh, what could Ben Simmons return?
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys were going right where I was going. I think he would go to Portland, but it would have to be Ben and at least one first-round pick. Like, it might even be two, because I'm thinking about more players, right? It would because you get it. I'm imagining it's McCollum, like exactly what you were saying, and then you throw in a Covington or Nurkic or something like that with it, and we have to shell out some picks there too.
I think the addition to that, I think you're getting a little greedy with the addition. Well, I don't think you get cover or Nurk for Ben Simmons.
But I'm saying the Sixers are shipping out at least one first-round pick for this trade package.
Even still, but Ben Simmons has no trade value.
Well, real quick, Just on the Trailblazers, like I could see a world where that could open up Dame's game big time. I mean, Dame being the main ball handler there and scorer. Like, imagine a little Ben Simmons getting the ball. Next thing you know, the Trailblazers setting screens for Dame like he's Steph Curry. Listen, I'm talking myself into it.
You are. Because Dame can't ever be off ball. Can't be off ball.
You guys upset at me for saying that I'd like Robert Covington back?
No. I think we all love Covington.
At least he shoots the ball.
Yeah. Give you a little defense too. For sure.
Real quick, one word answer here, boys. Do we owe Brett Brown an apology?
Hell no. For what? Hell no. Hell no.
Jeremy,
no. No way.
Hell no.
Josh?
I know personally I don't owe Brett Brown an apology, but I think the city should apologize.
For what? He ain't go anywhere either.
But they ran Brett Brown out of town because he couldn't get past the second round. And what did your savior Doc Rivers do for you?
Do the same thing.
Whoa. Just because Doc didn't do it doesn't mean I got to apologize for Brett for also not doing it. He didn't do
it's a resounding no. Case closed.
Yeah.
It's a resounding no. All right, that's going to do it for us here. It was a good cathartic episode. We like to wrap up the show with tap outs, and I know, Jeremy, you got a little bit of a time constraint. So do you want to use this platform that you have to get anything off your chest? 30 seconds to a minute of anything under the sun you want to talk about.
Well, just it's a relief that the season's over as much as it is a disappointment with any Philly team. It's like you have these high expectations, and they're just shattered. I tweeted a picture out this morning. I'm sure everyone's seen it. The meme of the astronaut looking at the Earth, and it's is it always pain? It is like it always has been. With
pain.
So it feels like it always will be. 2017 Eagles, outlier. We'll take it. But no, just thanks for having me on. Thanks to Philadelphia Sports Nation, Sixers Nation. Thanks to my wife for going to work for me real quick so I could come back on because so thanks for that. Thank you guys for having me on.
Let's hold it down.
Appreciate you, man. It was a pleasure to have you. We'll have you on again. We'll check in the off season, and hopefully we got some good things to report on. I'm not dealing in Ben Simmons' Instagram posts. I'm not dealing in that currency anymore.
No.
My goodness. I'll do a tap out real quick. It came out a couple hours ago that Raiders defensive end Carl Nassib has now come out as gay. I'm refraining myself from jumping in the comment sections because I don't think I have very little faith in humanity, boys, and it's going to go away after reading them. So I think this is a very, very big step because Carl Nassib, and much respect to other guys like Michael Sam, everything like that, but Carl Nassib is at least a rotational player.
Definitely.
He is going to be
former Buccaneer.
He is going to be on a roster for the foreseeable future in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is very, very important going forward for all national sports, for all major league and professional sports. Because he said in his post, he said, "I'm finally comfortable to come out and say this." Maybe that gives other people the courage to come out and do the same thing. You know what I mean? I don't know what he's going through. I never will. It's just the fact of who I am and who he is. But as people who cover sports and who enjoy sports, I think it's our duty to stand up and applaud him for having the courage to do that and knowing what he's opening himself up to. So good on you, man. I hope you realize that you have now become a lot of people's heroes, whether it be just in the United States or across the world. So much applause to Carl Nassib.
Yes, sir. I agree. I like it.
Josh, JJ?
I'll go next real quick. By the way, that was beautifully put. Banners are very important. I like that you're speaking up and defending him because I also agree that some of the comments you see under posts like that are despicable. And I kind of did the same thing. I knee-jerk reacted, wanted to go into Carl Nassib's defense and kind of, fend off the naysayers, but I also don't want to entertain, I don't want to dignify it with a response. I don't want to entertain the nastiness. So it's tough. So I'm glad you said something. I want to give a shout out to the next phenom in U.S. Olympic sports history, and that's Shakira Richardson.
Yes.
For the women's 100-meter track.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen this woman burn up some people on the track, like you talk about what Usain Bolt does at the Olympics, this is what this woman has the ability to do. And she's like 21 years old, a college junior, college sophomore, junior at LSU, and is just the absolute next track phenom. She ran her final qualifying time was 10:65, and by the way, she was looking at the clock, pointing at it for the last 30 meters of her running that 100-meter. It smoked the competition. So shout out to Shakira Richardson. Shout out to the U.S. track team. Shout out to the U.S. as the Olympics is right around the corner, man. So that's my top note.
Love that. Josh, what you got for us?
Yeah, I feel a little guilty going after the two of you with some better messages over there. But Sheets versus Wawa, fellas.
Oh
That's
my god!
tap
Dude, oh
out.
my god! Oh my god! Josh, I'm not.
Sheets versus Wawa is my tap out. You know, I love Wawa. Who doesn't love Wawa? It's really the best. I today, for the first time in my life, tried Sheets coming home from Pittsburgh, and it is terrible.
I don't want to hear this, man. I don't want to hear this.
I
man.
walk in and I was
hear
like
this, man.
surprised. I was like, wow,
I don't want to hear this, man.
place looks so cool, you know? Oh, I get coffee. It's filled up in this fancy electronic thing. I want to get sugar. There's no opening sugar. They just spray sugar out, you know? But you know what that is? It's all gimmicks. Making up for just mediocre, bad food. I'll say bad food.
I don't want to hear this.
Middle Pennsylvania, you can have your Sheets. The Coast, Philadelphia, we'll keep our Wawa. It is so much better than Sheets. I don't understand how it's an argument. The best thing I had from Sheets was the coffee, and it still didn't hold a candle to Wawa's, of course. So there you go. Sheets versus Wawa. I don't know how it's an argument.
You're lucky we don't have enough time to do this because I will get into a shouting match about Sheets. I would battle that Sheets Hill, man.
I mean, just
I'll
real quick, like tell me you're
first of all the hot food made to order stuff that Wawa do. Where do you think they got that from? That Sheets flow right there. Bar for bar. Bar for bar. Wawa.
We're arguing convenience store food, boys.
Bar for bar stole their whole flow. Their quesadillas are better. Their fries are better.
North Carolina, there is no Wawa.
Their meatballs are better.
It's a pain.
It's a pain.
Oh man.
I got
all right, everybody.
man.
That's gonna do it for here. Do it for us here. At Trust the Process Live. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Want to give a very, very special thanks to Jeremy Rice for joining us. I know it's you pulled some strings, you made it work. We're gonna check back in with you in the off season, and it's again pleasure having you, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed it.
Come on, man.
Sixers, even during the bad times.
Yeah.
Let's go. I love that. All right, boys. We are brought to you by My New Philly, where something is always new and everything's always Philly. If you weren't here with us live, you know where to catch us. You can find us wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts.
You got it in.
TTPL Philly, Trust the Process Live. That's where you can find us. But until next time, have a great week, Philly. Don't let yourself get too down.